Hello again, and welcome to Interview with DJ Nocturna. Always a pleasure to have on the show. Since he is a big Smith fan, just like I am, I've got Drew Forsberg of the Persian Leaps, who is the founder and songwriter of this project. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So the first time when I saw that you recorded a single, which is a cover of the Smiths like B-sides, of the song that I just loved. I've always loved this song. It's called Jeane, and you have even a picture of Jean Harlow. It's amazing. It's so Smith. It's so Smith theme tribute. It's a wonderful tribute.
Yeah, the person who's done the graphic design for most of our releases is a friend of mine, and I basically gave him like this article that showed the cover art of every single Smiths release, and basically I want something that looks like this. So he came up with that.
Yeah, so let's start out from your from the beginning. I loved the name of your project as well, the Persian Leaps, and I'm sure many people you probably said this to so many people, so many interviews, but tell us about how you came up with that name for your project.
Yeah, so I came up with that name like roughly around 1989 or something like that. Basically, I was in college. I was taking this Greek archaeology class, and we were like talking about the Persian War, and the margins of my notebook I started just kind of doodling this poem, and it started the Persian leaps from his chariot, and I don't know if there was much more beyond that, but dumb poem, but I'm like, wow, the Persian leaps. I like the way that sounds. If I ever start a band, that's going to be the name. And so it took kind of a couple decades to really make that happen. But yeah, that's how I came up with the name.
Sometimes it's really significant when people create a name for their project, and I always ask because it's good to know, because there's a history behind that. And for you found this at a time when you weren't really ready to start a band at that time, right? But you kept it, and it was like it was meant to be when the timing was right.
Yeah, I've been in other bands where like agreeing on a name is like the most difficult thing. Like this one band, like we probably argued about 50 different names and finally like voted on one. And anyway, it's so yeah, it when you find one that just speaks to you, and it's kind of special.
So how did you start out in music in that regard? I know you this is going way back in 2012, right? I think it was during that time, or it could be.
Yeah, I played drums in high school. I was and then I learned guitar. I was briefly in a band in college, but I really didn't get serious about doing anything with my music, which I continued to write songs just like in my bedroom and record stuff on a 4-track, but I really didn't get serious about it until I was about to turn 40. And so I don't know, like 2009, some friends and I decided to start a band, and we did, and we were together for about a year and a half, and it's really fun, but people just got too busy with their adult lives, and I wanted to keep doing it. And so a bit after that, I finally launched out with the Persian Leaps and some friends, and yeah, so that was about 2012, and we released our first EP the next year, and have been recording stuff more or less ever since then. But yeah, I'm like the poster child late bloomer. I mean,
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend waiting until you're 40 to launch a rock and roll career.
It's okay, we all have our time, and that's wonderful. I mean, it's perfect timing right now, and so you release your debut album, your EP. It's called Praise Elephants, which is in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, but before that, you had a single, right? Entropy. Is that what?
Entropy, yeah. That was something that kind of I recorded with some other people, and it wasn't really with the people who went on to be in the Persian Leaps, but I recorded it. It was my song. I released it as a single, and that was our first release. I ended up re-recording it later for kind of our greatest hits album. But
Okay, so that song is available on the debut EP?
it is Entropy. It's available as a single, and then a re-recorded version is available on Pop That Goes Crunch, which was like a 18 song best of compilation that I don't recall when we released it, 2018 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's several, and I know you have a more recent one, which is Machines for Living. That one came. That's another EP that's released last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
You know, I tried to basically release something every fall. So I've since 2013, the Persian Leaps have released at least something every fall. Well, you know, this year it was just a single, but in the past it's usually more, you know, something like a 5-song EP and occasionally something larger, but you know, just kind of trying to put something out there every fall.
So you play the guitar and you're the songwriter and vocalist, and you're originally from, is that where you were born and raised in Minneapolis?
Yeah, more or less. I was born in Chicago and moved here when I was very young, and I've otherwise lived in more northern Minnesota. I lived in the Twin Cities since after college, but I've been in Minnesota, you know, most of my adult life, or most of my life rather.
Yeah, you know, big shout out to Shameless Promotion PR when she sent me this track for Jeane. This is the one of the B-sides from the Smiths. It's a cover song from one of from the B-sides of This Charming Man, right? Which is really not very popular. It's one of those a lot of people don't really know it. Yeah, you don't really see it unless you get the you know, the 7-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
1983, but it's a wonderful song, and I have to say, you guys did really great work on that song. Actually,
Thank you.
I was just mentioning that the cover, the album cover here with Jean Harlow is just, it's just so Smith like, what you want to call it.
Yeah, we kind of went out of our way to make the cover art a tribute to the Smiths as well. And yeah, I love that song. I mean, I was telling you earlier that I had never even heard it until like 5 years ago, because I like in the 80s when I got into the Smiths, I had cassettes. I wasn't buying vinyl, so I like never bought their single. It wasn't on like any of their compilations until more recently. So yeah, I was blown away that there was a Smith song this good that was just kind of lurking out there unknown.
No, totally right. Yeah, and you know the I don't know if you ever heard the version of Sandy Shaw, who did the actual version of. There's a beautiful song, her version of that song with Morrissey in the background.
Okay. Yeah, you know, I know, I'm aware of it. I have not listened to it. I should do that though. I know I came across it like a Google search, but
And I'll tell you a little story because you know, bless his heart, you know, he passed away and he's greatly missed, Andy Rourke. Andy has been to Hawaii about 4 times, and when I was playing this song, I was in a different radio station at the time, KTUH, and I was playing that version with Sandy Shaw, and he actually said, "Oh, there's Sandy Shaw." I did an interview with him, and he actually talked about it, and I know that so every time I hear that song, I think about him. You know, that version, and you know, yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah, so yeah, so big shout out, of course, to Shauna for bringing this up, because it's such a, I think having a tribute to the Smiths is wonderful. I mean, it's like I mean, they'll never do it together anymore, right? Andy's gone. So and every fan who loves the Smiths, including you and I, we're doing, you know, you're doing this tribute, and I'm what do you call it? Acknowledging it here in the show.
yeah. Well, I they've been such a huge influence on me, and I knew I knew I wanted to cover a Smith song, but I kind of didn't want to do one of the very obvious ones. Like I've seen people like absolutely butcher this charming man. Like it's not that easy of a guitar part, and unless you can play it really well, you probably shouldn't. So I mean, personally, I could not do it justice. So anyway, I just wanted to I wanted to pay tribute to them, but maybe find something a little bit left of center that
No, that's a
people
great.
might not know.
I don't think anybody has ever did a. Have you heard a cover of the song by like that's been released? I haven't really,
I
except
don't
Sandy
think
Shaw,
so. No.
just Sandy Shaw with Morrissey.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. So you're the one. You're the man. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have an interview with Cab Sandu from Blitz Vega and Happy Mondays, who's worked with Andy and on Blitz Vega. I'm doing an interview with him tomorrow, and I hope to be doing the interview, releasing this together with yours as well.
Oh, that would be nice.
Uh,
Wonderful.
Yeah, because the Smiths is the Smith. The Smiths is number one. I mean, for me, I've always loved the Smiths in every single way. And Manchester rules, right? and I got my friends too, the Smites here in Hawaii. They're a tribute band in Hawaii. We're doing a show on December 1st. If anybody's tuning in, it's gonna be a next door. Michelle, Andy, Scott, and Pat of the Smites. And of course they're gonna be collaborating as well with the other band that's performing that night, Stink Eye. But anyway, let's go back. I mean, tell us a little bit more about so you were saying something about this song that you didn't know about it, but why did you pick this particular song besides the fact that it's a little bit on the rare side of the Smiths and the B-sides? But was there something about the lyrics of the Smiths that you, because I from your PR, has you put the lyrics of Jeane in here, which is so significant to me because the lyrics of the Smiths is what really has so much agony, so much pain, but it's so beautiful in that way.
Yeah. It was one of those songs, like I kind of have this running list of songs that I want to cover. And like, I love almost every Smith song. And I feel like it was a combination of the fact that, as we've talked about, like I only discovered it recently. It was relatively unknown. So it would be kind of, wouldn't be retreading what other people have done better.
Yeah.
And yeah, just something about it spoke to me. Like when I first heard it, I'm like, God, I would really love to cover that song. I think I could do it justice. And
You did. Yeah, you
it's
did.
not like some, some of I'm not as talented as Johnny Marr. And so like there's some Smith songs where I could not do what he does. So it was approachable, achievable. So
Yeah, I mean, I have to emphasize the lyrics of this song. The low life has lost its appeal. I just love that beginning. The Smith song always has a beginning thing that just gets you right. The low life has lost its appeal, and then it says, "We tried and we failed," and that's repeated several times. And then he says, "Cash on the nail." Isn't that just great?
yeah.
I love the lyrics there. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your influences. Besides, I know you're a big fan of the '80s, obviously.
Yeah, so that was when I was a teenager. And so listened to a lot of Smiths, New Order, Echo and the Bunnymen, and
Very
then like
strong.
a lot of the kind of early 90s indie rock like Pavement and Guided by Voices. I mean, I basically like I always like my top three influences, I would say, are the Smiths, Guided by Voices, and Teenage Fan Club. That's kind of how I see like the sound of the Persian Leaps is like some kind of amalgamation of those three bands. And there's other stuff, My Bloody Valentine, Big Star, and so on and so forth. But those are kind of the three that I feel like I've got this affinity with.
Yeah, I know you have an EP. I think it's your fifth EP back in 2014 that you released. I think it's called The Bicycle Face.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me so much of the Smiths as well because they're into bicycles, right? They have this bicycle theme going on all the time in some of the lyrics. So, uh,
Yeah.
I can see the great influence of the Smiths in your music.
I feel like there's isn't there like one of their videos where they're
Yeah,
like riding around on
yeah,
bicycles?
yeah.
Can't
Yep,
remember
yep.
what it is, but
And there's something really romantic about a bicycle in that regard, because it's missing. Put it out there.
Yeah, what's the lyric about like this charming man, like punctured bicycle on the
Yeah, there you
hillside
go. Yeah,
desolate. Yeah.
yeah. So what other influences when you write music? What is it that influence you to or inspire you to create something that you want to put out there?
You know, um my process is like very, I don't know, kind of like hook or riff oriented. Like I never like sit down and think, oh, I want to write a song about this political issue or, this relationship or something. Like, I don't know. I'm like messing around on my guitar, playing, and I come up with some kind of a riff and it sounds good. And I'll come up with some snippet of a lyric to sing with it. And from there, I just kind of construct this narrative around whatever that first lyric is. And when it works, it's great. There seem to be a lot of times where it doesn't, and for whatever reason I can never like, if I can't figure out how to write a song around that first line that I come up with, I tend to abandon it. I could like, obviously I could take the music and come up with some completely different theme for the song, but I never do. So that's kind of my process, like just come up with that initial riff and some line of the chorus and build out the song from there. When it works well. When it doesn't, I just move on.
So you must have a lot of songs that you put on the side, because a lot of artists do, they write something and they put it on the side because they're not ready to release it or they needs more work.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those, and then it finally is released like much later and later on, and then it becomes its collectible.
Yeah. I don't know if mine will ever be collectible, but yeah, I've done
Hey,
that where
say that. Yeah.
like some of the stuff I've put out in more recent years, there are a few songs that are actually pretty old, and it's not so much like I'm running out of new songs, but like these songs that for whatever reason weren't right at the time. And I come back to them 5-10 years later, and I'm able to do something with them. So it's kind of nice to have that back catalog of songs that are either finished, but they're just not the timing isn't right, or they're half finished and you can finally figure out something to do with them. So
Yeah, that's very true. So this particular track, this EP that it's an EP you're releasing, right? So Jeane has already been released on
that's it, actually. That's the only thing I'm releasing right now. It's just the standalone single.
Yeah, I think this song should be in a Smith tribute compilation album.
I agree. If you know someone who's putting one together, please mention my name.
Yeah, I would definitely will, because I believe that there's so many that came out right through the years. I mean, I have them, I collect them actually.
Oh, do you? Nice.
Yeah, because some of them are really good. Like they do their own version of it, but it's I can't remember the top of my head. I don't have the CD but all CDs, of course, but I mean they're amazing. Some of them, and of course some of them it's like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, paying tribute to such an amazing band is something that you can never get enough of, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear about your friends in the Smiths tribute band there in Hawaii. That would be fun to see. I'm kind of at a point where like I don't know if I really want to perform anymore as the Persian Leaps, but if I could find like some kind of a tribute band, like for whatever reason, I think about like Echo and the Bunnymen or
Oh yeah.
Wire or something like that. But the Smiths would be fun too. Just playing a band songs like that, I think would be a fun project.
So in 2018, according to the release here, you retired as a live full band, and you're going back to your roots as a studio project. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm still friends with the other guys who were in the band with me there at the end, but we just kind of we were just getting really burned out. One of the guys was just kind of done being in bands, and his
Mm.
wife was going back to work full time, and he just, didn't have the bandwidth to be in a band. I was very tired of like playing, trying to be part of the local scene in Minneapolis and playing shows, and yeah, it was just a lot. And so we kind of amicably retired, but I definitely wanted to keep on releasing music, so it turned into more of a studio project. And
Yeah, well, I hope you don't stop, continue. I mean, you could take a break from the live performances for a little bit, but I understand what you mean, because it is, I mean, I'm burnt out sometimes too, just DJ doing what I do. I mean, it's just the way it is, but you take a break, or you go on a trip, or you just relax for a little bit, and then you're back to, because one thing you can never forget, you can never get rid of, is that you have this musical talent and passion that needs to be released.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, this year is kind of that break. I mean, that's why like I'm just putting out the single, and I haven't really been, doing a lot of recording or anything else. I just my wife is a teacher and was going to be on sabbatical for the first half of the year, so we did a whole bunch of traveling, and I just kind of was taking the year off and just releasing the single, and we'll hope to get back to it in the future.
Well, you have a lot of great stuff. Even your whole project, of course. Your albums that you released. Let me see if I can find them right now. I have them here. Which is the one there's a track I really like. Something about gosh, what is it called? One second. I think it was in the last album, the last EP. What is that song called? Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Here, I have to open up the song. It's called yeah, it's called Lip Reader Dyslexia.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
You tell us about that a little bit.
God, I wish I could remember. But I mean, I know for sure that that's one of those cases, like I was talking about earlier, where I was fooling around. I like came up with that main riff, and I started singing lip reader dyslexia, and like, what the heck does that mean? I don't know. And so I kind of constructed the rest of the song around that phrase. And, in that case it worked, but there are definitely times where I can't figure out what to do with it. So yeah, that's just kind of a random phrase
No,
that
I
came
like
to
it.
my mind.
I
Thank you.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you released a single, Jeane, and I'm looking forward to seeing it in one of the albums out there, with the Smith tribute albums that I'm sure
Yeah.
will be released one of these days. I'm sure there'll be somebody will put out something. The Smiths will never die. you know,
Definitely.
the queen is dead, but the Smiths will never die.
Nice.
Well, gosh, well, thank you so much. And so, if people want to check out your music, you have a website. Thank you. It's called the PersianLeaps.com.
Yep.
The
Yeah, we're
PersianLeaps.com.
on Spotify and Bandcamp and all the usual
Yeah.
places. So
Yeah, and Facebook, the Persian Leaps, and Twitter, which is also wonderful, and Instagram, of course, Persian Leaps, and easy to find.
yeah.
And gosh, Drew, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I was really anxious. I every time I hear the Smiths in any way, I'm like all for it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it was great to chat with you.
Yep. Thanks. Same here.